All right, we are back. Sam Seder on the Majority Report. On the phone, it's a pleasure to welcome to the program freelance journalist Brandon Smith. He was the journalist who basically forced the release of the Laquan McDonald video, which is now continues to reverberate throughout Chicago. Welcome to the program, Brandon.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Brandon, just give us a little bit of history on what it took to get this video released and how many roadblocks you ran up. Because the timing of the release of this video is obviously pretty relevant here as to everything that happens after the fact.
Right. Well, it was late May when I filed the Freedom of Information request, and technically the city has 5 or 10 business days to respond, depending on the request. And so they kind of flaunted that part of the law and extended it and took extensions without my permission and delayed it. And at any rate, in early August, I filed suit. They denied me, so I had standing to file civil suit, for the city, in our view, improperly withholding this video from myself and 14 others before me, and the judge ruled in our favor.
And tell me, like, why in May? I mean, this is a McDonald is killed. Very well may have been murdered, according to the prosecutor, over a year ago. So what was it that by May gave you the sense that there was a dash cam video out there, or was it you were just anticipating other people would have had success, or what?
Yeah, so it was this column by Jamie Calvin. He's a longtime journalist in Chicago covering police violence. And so he wrote, I think it was in Slate, he obtained Laquan's autopsy, and it showed that he was shot 16 times, which is really different from the initial account that police gave of the incident. And so that really raised a lot of questions in my mind and in the mind of my collaborator in all of this, William Calloway. He's a black activist. He works with families that have experienced police violence. And so we kind of brainstormed, like, hey, we should request this and sue if they deny us.
And so give us a sense of what else you anticipate has yet to be released. I mean, we know now, right? I mean, at least based upon the what is claimed by a Burger King manager, that there were multiple officers involved in erasing videotapes from the Burger King. You have written that you believe that the police rearranged their cars to hide certain things from their dash cams. Tell us why you believe that, actually.
Well, the city released 5 videos to us. Only one really shows the incident semi-clearly. It shows Laquan as he's being shot. What it does not show is the officer shooting. And there was one car that we believe, we saw this through the other videos, that one particular car was positioned to show the officer as he's shooting. And that car, the city says, did not result in a video. We're trying to find out why. And we're trying to find out other things. There's some audio experts have come out and said it's really fishy that there's no audio attached to any of these videos. And the other things like, the police statements. There were 8 or 9 police officers on scene, and if any of them gave statements that matched what happened in the video, that is what actually happened, this officer should have been charged almost immediately. And so we want to know, well, did anyone make that kind of a statement? And if they didn't, if all of them seems to cover it up, then they really should be implicated in this as well.
So you have a request in. Is this in the form of a Freedom of Information Act as well? I mean, you outline in in your piece what your request includes, which is both unreleased video and or internal discussion or statements as to what have happened, audio from all the cameras, a list of all the names of the officers on the scene, which is pretty stunning that has not been released at this point. You're also seeking a list of names of any employee who knew about the initial public count of the shooting was different from what happened, a list of witnesses, all internal police department communication, all other communications pertinent to this. What is the process in which you're making that request?
We've gone at it two different ways in hopes that the city will comply with at least one of them. We made a Freedom of Information Act request, and we were asking for these in our court case, which is still ongoing. The city can object to that if they want in our case, but then the judge has to decide whether it's relevant to this case. And this case really, in our minds, it's about why the public has not been granted access to information about this particular shooting. And this shooting is just demonstrative of things that happen in the police department all the time, we think. There were 70 deaths by police gunfire in Chicago between 2010 and 2014, 70 deaths. And so the Independent Police Review Authority here, in our view, is not very independent. They didn't find that they found one of those to not be justified, which means all the rest they thought were justified. And that's kind of crazy, particularly in light of the whistleblower that came out of that agency earlier this year and said his bosses told him to change his findings about investigations of police misconduct.
And I want to be clear on that. I mean, this guy, Lorenzo Davis, I mean, it wasn't like this was not known, right? I mean, he was interviewed on national television. He was reported on in national, websites. They're all national, I guess, in some regard. But the point being that this is sort of well known, and there was no investigation about his claims, were there?
Not to my knowledge. And the Independent Police Review Authority continues to operate as normal. The mayor yesterday, when he fired the police superintendent following our case, he appointed several people to a task force to investigate police discipline and police conduct. I really hope that they take this opportunity to change things and not have kind of like a political Band-Aid on things.
Let me ask you this. I mean, what is there? How much of an outcry is there in Chicago at this point to investigate these other officers who are on the scene? I mean, it seems pretty stunning that nothing had been done until this video was very reluctantly released, and that none of the other officers seem to be implicated in this. There doesn't seem to be any implications for the reports that surveillance footage at this Burger King was erased. I mean, is there anything else that's being done? I know that the state attorney general has called for a federal investigation. What else are you hearing is in the works?
Well, I think the city would respond by saying that the Cook County State's Attorney's investigation, the one that resulted in the murder charge, it will be enough to serve justice in this case. And if they find evidence that other police officers covered it up, then they'll charge them themselves. But the problem is that the public seems to have lost trust in this whole system because the state's attorney here didn't issue charges until the judge said the video had to be released. So everyone's kind of wondering, like, well, are they going to try to seek justice for this police officer, and are they going to try to to look into the other officers who saw things. And that's why we're asking for all this stuff to be released to the public so that public trust can be restored.
Lastly, let me just ask you this: do we know the states? Do we know when the prosecutors had first seen this video? Do we have a sense of that, of what the timing is? Because, presumably they saw it before it went public. When you FOIAd this, were you FOIAing this dash cam from the police department or from the prosecutor's office? Like, what entity had sort of jurisdiction or actually sort of had that video to release it?
Well, I requested it from the police department itself, and they had a copy. And the prosecutor's office certainly had the power to, and they always work closely with police anyway, but they also had the power to request it in their investigation. So I can only assume that they requested it almost immediately after it happened, within a matter of days or a couple of weeks. So the prosecutor's office, long story short, had it for 13 months and didn't do anything about it. I think their contention has been that it took this long because they had to interview a lot of people. Well, okay, but there was also this video evidence, and maybe that was enough. A lot of people think that was enough to charge him by itself.
Right, and it's quite a coincidence that the video was forced out the same week that they made these charges. Brandon Smith, thank you so much for your time today, and congratulations and keep up the good work.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Micah Utrick and talk to him about just how much pressure there is being generated here to overthrow essentially that system that's there. We have already seen Rahm Emanuel in very short order fire his police commissioner. By short order, I mean the time from the length of time from when it appeared he would not do so to when he did so happened rather quickly. Obviously, this has been something that in some respects has probably been in the works for years insofar as deserving it. It's just that when this video gets released, then it becomes a problem that they cannot hide.